Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at the York County 911 Center. My name is Dr. Kyle Kopko, and I have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director of the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania. And I want to begin by thanking Commissioner Julie Wheeler and her fellow commissioners, Scott Burford and Doug Hoke, and the entire York County team for hosting us and showcasing the critical work happening inside County 911 centers across all of Pennsylvania. Today, we are here on behalf of the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania, or CCAP, to highlight one of our top public safety priorities, ensuring the long-term sustainability of our 911 system through an increase in the state's 911 surcharge. Every day, Pennsylvanians rely on 911 to be there in their most critical moments, whether it's a medical emergency, a fire, or a call for law enforcement. The system must work quickly, efficiently, and without fail. Counties are proud to operate and administer Pennsylvania's 911 system. And over the years, we have made significant strides to modernize operations, improve technology, and enhance coordination across jurisdictions. We've done this while being responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars. However, the reality is that costs continue to rise. Technology is evolving and expectations are increasing. The funding structure simply has not kept pace. That's why counties across the Commonwealth are advocating for a reasonable increase in the 911 surcharge to $2.20 so that we can maintain and strengthen this life-saving system for years to come. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce CCAP's treasurer and host for today's event, York County President Commissioner Julie Wheeler. Commissioner.
Thank you, Kyle. Before I share my remarks, I do want to let folks know and thank, we have several police chiefs joining us today and fire chiefs joining us today, and we thank them for, and emergency management. We thank them for coming out to support us today at this press conference. So it is fitting that we're here today at the York County 911 Center to discuss the critical issue of funding for 911 services. Just a couple weeks ago, the York County Board of Commissioners had the honor of presenting a proclamation recognizing our 911 dispatchers for National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. When an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And it's our 67 counties, 911 and emergency management centers that are responsible for ensuring that prompt response, both through our 911 dispatchers, as well as our emergency management communication systems. York County is proud to have an exceptional team of 911 dispatchers and emergency management personnel. And Pennsylvanians should feel confident that they have skilled 911 emergency management teams ready to answer the call during an emergency. But it's also important for taxpayers to understand that the Commonwealth's current system of funding 911 services is simply inadequate to keep up with ever-rising costs. In fact, state funding from the surcharges doesn't come close to fully funding 911 systems for counties. That leaves county taxpayers on the hook to pay for those state-mandated services. That fact became glaringly apparent last year during the second longest state budget impasse in Pennsylvania history. Once a state budget was finally approved, the damage was already done. With rising costs and insufficient and unreliable state funding, many counties were left with no choice but to raise taxes. It's time for the state to adequately fund our 911 services. Let's remember what we're talking about here. Our 911 services are literally our lifeline for emergency responses. Here in York County, our 911 telecommunicators were the unsung heroes during two tragic incidents that occurred last year. On February 22nd, 2025, York County's 911 dispatchers received the type of call that they'd been trained to handle, a hostage situation at UPMC Memorial Hospital. York County's brave police, fire, and EMS and other first responders jumped into action. Tragically, One of those heroic police officers, 30-year-old West York Borough Police Officer Andrew Duarte, died as he sacrificed his own life to save others. And then, on September 17th, 2025, tragedy struck again. On that day, our 911 dispatchers again responded to the call. This time, for backup, as 3 of our community's law enforcement officers were tragically shot and killed during an ambush while responding to a domestic issue. The Northern York County Regional Police Department lost 3 veteran officers: 53-year-old Mark Baker, 39-year-old Cody Becker, and 43-year-old Cody Emmenheiser. 2 other law enforcement officers were critically injured in that same police incident. Thankfully, both have recovered from their injuries. York County's, pardon me, still kind of hits me hard. We lost 3 brave men last year. While tragedy struck York County twice since 2025, we must also remember that both of those incidents could have and likely would have been more deadly if not for our effective 911 system. County's 911 systems are the single vital link for our first responders. They help keep our community safe. Counties are doing their part to keep our 911 system updated, staffed, and ready to respond at a moment's notice. The state mandates counties provide these services, and it's past time for the state to do its part to ensure these critical public safety systems are adequately funded, not just for today, but for generations to come. Thank you. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Commissioner Joe Kantz from Snyder County, who is the president of the CCAP Association Board.
Thank you, Commissioner Wheeler, and thank you, York County, for hosting us here today. As CCAP president, I'm proud to stand here representing counties from every corner of Pennsylvania, urban, suburban, and rural. We're all united in this priority. Let me be clear, counties are doing everything we can to control costs and operate our 911 systems as efficiently as possible. We've embraced consolidation. We've pursued regionalization. We've invested in shared services and modern technologies, all to reduce duplication and improve service delivery. As an example, in Snyder County, where I'm from, we took that step by working with our neighbors in Union County to create the Central Susquehanna 911 Center. That was 10 years ago. That effort allowed us to streamline operations, reduce duplicative expenses, increase communication redundancies, and provide a more responsive system for our residents, and of course, better serve our residents. And we are not alone. Counties across Pennsylvania have made similar decisions, often difficult decisions, to ensure sustainability and efficiency. But there's only so much that we can do at the local level. Even with these efforts, the cost of operating a modern-day 911 system continues to grow. Equipment upgrades, cybersecurity, next-generation 911 capabilities, and workforce all require sustained investment. The current surcharge simply isn't keeping up. That's why we are asking the General Assembly to act. A modest increase in the 911 surcharge will help ensure that counties can continue delivering the high-quality emergency response services that our residents expect and deserve. This is not about expanding government. It is about maintaining and strengthening a critical public safety system that communities rely on every day. Every dollar collected through the 911 surcharge is dedicated exclusively to 911 purposes. And because those funds are distributed to county 911 centers through a structured disbursement process that takes the time, any temporary balances should not be misconstrued as excess funding. Now, with that, I'd like to turn it over to Commissioner Brian Huffman. He is the co-chair of our CCAP's Emergency Management and Veterans Affairs Committee, and Brian is from Sullivan County. Commissioner?
Thank you, Commissioner Kantz, and again, thank you to York County for hosting us. So as a commissioner from Sullivan County, I bring the perspective of one of Pennsylvania's smaller, more rural counties. In rural areas, the challenges can be even more pronounced. We cover large geographic areas with smaller populations. That means fewer resources spread across more miles, while still maintaining the same expectation. When someone calls 911, help is on the way. Our residents deserve the same level of service as anyone else in the Commonwealth, and counties are committed to delivering that. Through CCAP, we've worked collaboratively with state partners and stakeholders to strengthen the 911 system. We've supported reforms, participated in statewide planning efforts, and implemented new technologies. We've also supported previous efforts to adjust the surcharge, recognizing that sustainable funding is essential. But we are at a point where additional action is needed. Without an increase in the surcharge, counties will be forced into difficult decisions that could affect service levels, staffing, and long-term system investments. Absent additional 911 revenue from an increase in the surcharge, counties will have no choice but to rely on their general funds, diverting resources from other essential services like mental health, corrections, and elections administration. Ultimately, without a sustainable solution, these costs don't disappear. They are shifted directly onto local property taxpayers. That is not a position we want to be in. We are simply asking for the tools to continue doing what we already do, provide reliable, life-saving emergency communication services to our residents. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Hoffman, and thank you to all of our speakers today. In closing, this issue comes down to a simple principle. When someone in Pennsylvania dials 911, the system and the highly trained professionals who receive those calls on the other end must be ready every time and without fail. Counties across Pennsylvania have demonstrated a strong commitment to operating efficient, modern, and effective 911 systems. We have consolidated where possible, we have innovated, and we have invested wisely. Now we are asking the Commonwealth to partner with us to ensure the long-term sustainability of this system through a reasonable increase in the 911 surcharge. Again, counties are seeking to increase the surcharge to $2.20, a mere quarter that could generate an additional $50 million annually for the system, decreasing reliance on county general funds and ultimately property taxpayers. This modest adjustment to the surcharge ensures that we can maintain a system that is reliable, modern, and responsive to the needs of every community across our great Commonwealth. This is about public safety. It's about reliability, and ultimately it's about saving lives. And we appreciate the partnership with policymakers and stakeholders in advancing this priority. And we look forward to working together in the months ahead. And at this time, we'll break for questions with any of our speakers in a one-on-one fashion. And we will also then, following that, have the opportunity for a brief tour of the York 911 Center. Again, I want to thank Commissioner Wheeler and all the staff here at the 911 Center for your support in hosting us here today. Thank you all for being here.